I guess it'd be better if I just unmute my microphone. Hello, and welcome to everybody to the presentation. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Friday to you, wherever you are. I appreciate all of you guys being here. And there we go. And now we're live on all of our formats. Hey, by the way, Tros, I'm not paying attention to you because you don't matter. Okay. Anyway, for those of you who want to, happy Friday to you. And happy 4th of July. Imagine the trolls are starting. Can you imagine that on a Friday night? On a 4th of July, they have nothing else better to do than troll clergy on a Friday night? Dude, you have got to get a life. I mean, if that's your excitement, whew, I'll pray for you. I will. All right. Anyway, for the rest of you, welcome to Friday night, our paranormal Friday night. Yeah, happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July, guys. Hello. Appreciate y'all being here. There's I don't take off. I never take off. I'm a workaholic. I believe in working. That's just my nature. But it is the 4th of July, to be fair. It's the 4th of July. So, but even then, I mean, I work on Christmas. When Christmas is, I'll be here Christmas Eve. I'll be here Christmas Eve. I'll be here Christmas Day, no matter what. Just like, actually, I do. I went to Loyola University in Chicago. I went to Sullivan University. I graduated summa cum laude. I graduated Argosy University with a Master of Education in magna cum laude. Is there anything else that you need? Any other credentials, Princess? Anything else? Okay, sorry. Someone was asking about my credentials, and it's already started. Imagine. Imagine. All right. Summa cum laude, by the way, means the highest. That's 4.0 GPA. For those of you who are struggling understanding that. Magna cum laude and anyway, cum laude. All right. So appreciate you guys being here. Look, here's what I want you to do. First of all, do us a favor. Go to, in a minute, we're going to put sub chat on because we don't want to deal with trolls here. But if you would do us a favor and go to our sponsors website. So we run the show on KGRADB. Oh, they don't get to me. Believe me, people whose IQ is lower than 2, they don't intimidate me. Not at all. It's actually a shame, but no, they don't intimidate me. It's a battle of the wits. Too bad they came unprepared. All right. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to our sponsors website, KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. KGRADB.com. Now, our show is running there on KGRADB radio, by the way. And so they have a really very cool shop that's online. And I would like for you, please, make sure you click on the shop link, and you will see my name, Bishop James Long, or Bishop Long, I don't know, whatever. And they'll pull out a lot of merchandise. I want you to purchase as much as you want, because here is what you need to know. 100% of the profits that would normally go to me, because I own the Sacred Division radio show. I've been doing it for 23 years. What we're allowing KGRADB Radio, we're teaming up with them, and they're going to promote the show, promote St. Michael items, and 100% of the profits that would normally go to me or any radio or any host at all. Normally when you go to their store, well, the money they receive in the merchandise goes in their pocket, and rightfully so. It's business. It belongs to them. We don't do that here. So we're going to make the troll's head explode here in a moment. What we do is when you go to kgradb.com and you click on the shop link and click on my name, Bishop Long, and you purchase all the products that you want there, 100% of the profits that would normally go to me, we are going to donate to a wonderful foundation. It is the MKS Kids Foundation. I just have so much respect and love for this organization. They help kids that are orphans in Africa. and to get, put a roof over the head and food and clean water. And people say, well, why don't you help people in America? Well, how do you know that I don't? Again, all this assumption. I can help an organization in Africa, and I can also help, which I do, an organization in Kentucky, which I donate to. So all this hatred, I just don't get it. It's not Christian. It's hate. It's hate. That's not Christian. That's hate. So this organization is a fantastic organization. Yes, I do. Yeah. Do you? No. You just sit and judge. Matthew chapter 7, verse 2. Maybe you should read it. You probably don't know what that is. You'll be judged in the same manner you judge others. Anyway, so matter of fact, KGRADB Radio, they are going to take care of all the finances. Everything that would normally go to me, they're going to donate to the MKS Foundation. You don't have to worry about that, Chrissy. These people, the trolls are trash. So consider doing that. Well, they are. They're demonically influenced. Trolls are demonically influenced. And this is exactly how when I'm standing face to face with a demon, I'm not intimidated. And trolls are demonically influenced, so I'm not intimidated. So I'm just as I am now in front of a person who's possessed, versus trolls. I'm not intimidated by them at all. Number one, intellectually, I'm not intimidated by them. And two, spiritually, I'm not. Because actually trolling is a symptom of demonic oppression. But they're just too foolish and ignorant to understand it. And so I'm not intimidated at all by these people. At all. So, matter of fact, bye-bye. All right. Arrivederci, trolls. So if you would like to go to this website, because once you start talking about helping people, then the trolls come out and their heads start spinning. That's what usually happens. Because once you start talking about love and compassion and true Christianity, then their heads will just kind of go round and round, and that's what happens, as we just saw there. So please go to kgradb.com and just click on the shop. And if you click on my name, 100%, as I said, 100%, and you can contact KGRADB. They'll confirm for those hater gators out there. Contact them. Matter of fact, I encourage you to. We have Mr. Producer, who he produces the shows behind the scenes. Absolutely. But contact them. I encourage you, kgradb.com. And then you contact them and say, is Bishop Long donating 100% of his profits to the shop, to the kids organization orphanage in Africa? And then when they say yes, we'll see if the trolls apologize. They won't apologize. That they won't do, because they're demonically influenced. But we are not. And so let's help this organization, because I think this organization needs help. And people always, I encourage everybody, please do. Please contact them. I want you to. I absolutely want you to. As a matter of fact, maybe next week we'll get the owner of KGRADB Radio, and he can sit, but contact them. Please, I encourage you. I want you to do that. And you should. Actually, and here's truthfully, when anybody says to you online that they are donating 100% of their profits that they would receive to an orphanage, you should verify this. I would. I mean, not that I'm trying to be mean, but there's a lot of nonsense online. So I encourage you to. And then when you know that you are buying these items, then you truly know that, yes, it's legitimate. And I think that's important. Thank you very much, Gina. Thank you. So please do so. kgradb.com. Okay? Yeah, the hoodies are great. They have some amazing St. Michael items there. And they design all that. So, and by the way, the Sacred Division is the name of the paranormal show that I own, that I started 23 years ago when online radio was in its infancy. And so, matter of fact, I started at an online radio show, 24/7 paranormal online radio show, a network. And that was a long time ago. So anyway, check them out. Please do. And absolutely send them a message to verify, rock and roll. We should. Okay, so kgradb.com. All right, now, if you want to go to my website, you know what? I need to update my website to show kgredb. I should. Yeah, I need to update the website. I will do that. So you can go to my website, which is bishopjameslong.com. bishopjameslong.com. And then, of course, the church's websites, usocc.org. So there's a lot of information there. We do have night prayer tonight. Oh, wow. And Brandon is a subscriber? What did Brandon do? Oh, well, here's the deal. If you come in and you're a subscriber and you come in and troll, well, you're going to be blocked. I mean, just because I think people think that just because they come in and subscribe, that they can troll. No, you'll be blocked still. That's just the way it goes. That doesn't give you the right to block. But so moderators, I'll have to send you a message about that. Okay. Right, AJ. He just troublemaker. Yeah, just put it on mute. Yeah, just put it on mute. I'll send a message on that a little bit later because, TikTok. So anyway, all right, that's all the information. There we go. And hopefully you will go to the website and check out everything. Well, thank you very much, Sheena. Thank you for the gifts. I really appreciate that. And happy 4th of July, everybody. Hopefully wherever you are, you're having a beautiful 4th of July and a safe one. But what bothers me so much about the 4th of July are the animals. And I was talking to Judy Ann about this earlier today. All the animals, the dogs, they are terrified of, these noises because they're not used to these huge things exploding. And so many dogs, unfortunately, I used to volunteer at a humane society, and it was sad to see so many dogs picked up because, they would be so frightened. They would jump over the fence or whatever it might be. And then thankfully, now that they're chipped, most dogs are chipped. Thank God for that. But just remember, and your horses, just remember animals are very sensitive to these explosions. I'm sure we might hear a few explosions tonight. Maybe we'll see. I'm sure they will during night prayer. But nonetheless, I want to remind everybody. So here's the schedule before we get into our presentation. Tomorrow, we have the Sacred Division Weekend Edition. All right, that's the Sacred Division. There's a weekend edition, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch it on my social media platforms. Sunday, we have Bible study at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have night prayer. And again, that'll be on all of my social media platforms. And then, of course, on Wednesday at 8 p.m., we have Bible study. So we're busy. We're busy 7 days a week, every day. That's a lot. So for the moderators, thank you for being here. Thank you guys for being here on this happy 4th of July. Tonight we're going to talk about a topic that I have never talked about, but I want to. Because you're going to hear a lot more about this, folks. I'm telling you now, be on the lookout for it. So tonight and Saturday are the only nights that are dedicated to the paranormal. That's it. 5 days a week, we do Bible study and scripture. 2 nights a week, get over it. So, the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki is a really interesting topic. And I've never really talked about it much because I needed to do more research on it because I'd heard so much about the Anunnaki. And I've spoken to theologians about the Anunnaki and their perspective. I'm going to tell you what they are in a moment, but believe me, you'll hear. I'm going to give you the presentation, and then I'm going to tell you what my thoughts are on an Anunnaki. But the reason is I'm doing this is you're going to hear a lot more. a lot more about these beings. As we get closer to 2027, I'm giving you heads up now, you're going to be flooded with the Anunnaki. So be prepared for this. They're already starting now. Okay, let's get into the Anunnaki conversation. Yeah, it's good. It's a good night. It's a good night, especially on Friday night. And Judy Ann got me some of these Senior Moments mints. It's kind of upside down, but it's Senior Moments mint. It's memory mints for senior moments. What is she trying to say? I better take one. Okay. Imagine, if you will, doing good. Hopefully you're doing great. Oh, that's Josh. So imagine, if you will, an era before recorded history, a time when the night sky was an unspoiled canvas, glittering with countless stars, and among these celestial bodies, a strange and bright object appears, unlike anything seen before. Now it drifts closer and closer, and it is a glowing chariot of light, moving with purpose across the heavens. Now, in the stories passed down by the Sumerians, the ancient Sumerians, this was no ordinary celestial event. They believed it was a divine sign, an arrival of beings from the beyond. So these beings were known as the Anunnaki, and they were believed to have come from a distant planet called Nibiru. Nibiru is a mysterious world, highly elongated orbit, crossing through our solar system once every 3,600 years. So, their ships, described in ancient text, were said to shimmer with iridescent lights, descending from the sky in a blaze of fire and thunder. Now, witnesses from ancient Sumeria, in their writings, claim that they saw immense craft land on the plains, illuminating the land with celestial radiance. The earth trembled beneath their feet as they stepped down, towering over humans like gods. So, in the ancient Sumerian tablets, which we do have, we'll talk a little bit more about that. We actually see drawings of these celestial beings that came out of this aircraft. Now, they would have no concept 2,500 years ago, or 2,500 BC, what a spacecraft even should look like, a rocket. They wouldn't even have a concept of it. So these divine visitors weren't just spectators. They were actually active participants in shaping human history. So the Anunnaki are believed to have been the engineers of civilization. That is the theory. The architect behind agriculture, writing, and even urban development. So now just visualize, if you will, for a moment. Ancient laborers, 2,500 BC, blindly excavating the fertile land when suddenly towering beings, and in the drawings, they have these huge, tall beings that look like they're about 12 feet tall. Compared to them, arrive bearing advanced tools and even knowledge. And these lowercase gods, because I don't believe they were gods, obviously, but these gods were said to have taught humans, at that time Sumerians, how to cultivate crops, build cities, and even interpret the stars. Now, their influence is woven into the actual earliest writings, that's clues encoded in what's cuneiform tablets that depict gods handing down knowledge that catalyze human progress. I mean, really, we're talking, you should see some of the ancient writings and the drawings in ancient Sumeria of the Anunnaki. It's perplexing. So one legend tells of Enki. So here's what Enki was considered the water god who crafted humans from clay. and a divine act that symbolized a new partnership between the gods and humankind. And he is said to have been given mankind the gift of civilization, the wheel, irrigation, astronomy, all gifts from these alleged celestial beings. So imagine this, walking through ancient Sumerian cities where towering, and by the way, I have this, let me pull this up, wait a minute. These are called ziggurats. Let me open this up so I can show you. Very interesting. They're called ziggurats. And hold on one second. Image file. I'm trying to figure out this. No, not now. Oh, well, I'll do it with my, I hope it doesn't mess up. Okay, so these are a ziggurat. Access through, okay. I'm trying to show you guys, and it's bear with me for a moment, please. Okay, so won't do it. Hold on. If I can find it, but once I can, this is a new thing, and I'm going to show these guys, and then I'm going to show you guys in just a second. They're really interesting. What's interesting about this is ancient civilization. So how could they do this? How could they have the knowledge? All right. Okay, forget it. We'll just do it this way. These are the ziggurats. Now, friends, please understand, this is in 2500 BC. That is really amazing. I mean, when you look at this and the details of this, yeah, right, they're perfect. I mean, when you look at this, it makes you scratch your head and you wonder, okay, how in the world can a civilization that's 2500 BC have a ziggurat? So this is a type of massive structure built in ancient Mesopotamia. It has the form of a terraced compound and of successfully receding stories or levels. And it rises like a stairways to the heavens. So these colossal structures weren't built just for worship. They were possibly intended as portals or markers for the Anunnaki's visit. One theory. There's a great ziggurat of Ur with its step-by-step construction. It was a sacred site, perhaps aligned with celestial events. It served as a bridge between earth and sky. And the carvings and tablets that you see in ancient Sumeria depict winged beings descending from the heavens, their faces luminous with divine light. So could these monuments be evidence of ritual meant to contact the Anunnaki, or markers left behind by those seeking to remember or even invoke these beings? The stories of a great deluge echoes across the natures and cultures. This is what's also very fascinating. I was speaking to Judy Ann. Listen to this. Noah's Ark, the Gilgamesh flood myth, and others. See, the ancient Sumerians describe a story where the Anunnaki, angered by human transgressions, decided to wipe the earth clean with a cataclysmic flood. In ancient Sumerian mythology, there is actually a flood story that is known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, what's interesting about this is it involves the Anunnakis deciding to flood the earth to wipe out humanity due to their noisy and disruptive behavior. So the Sumerian king is warned by the god Enki and instructed to build a large boat to survive the flood along with his family and animals. After the flood subsides, the king offers sacrifices to the gods and is granted eternal life. What's interesting about this is this story shares similarities with the biblical account of Noah's Ark leading to some speculate on potential connections between the two. What I find fascinating, there are people who say that the story of Gilgamesh happened prior to the flood of Noah. That is not correct. That is incorrect. You actually see both of these events roughly 2100 BC, because the argument is the whole Noah's flood story stole from the story of Gilgamesh. No, they did not. Actually, historians that will understand the biblical history and the sort of the Gilgamesh, they actually see it's roughly but the same time, 2100 BC. Isn't it fascinating that both cultures, the ancient Mesopotamia and Noah, contain massive flood stories, which tells me that the flood was not just a small regional story, but rather a global impact. And because it was a global impact, that would explain why they had the Epic of Gilgamesh in ancient Sumeria. I think that's fascinating. Now, just imagine, picture the skies darkening as storms rage for days and the waters rise, submerging entire cities. Survivors cling to makeshift rafts, and stories that echo in many cultures. But what if the Epic of Gilgamesh wasn't purely myth? Maybe it was a real act of divine intervention, possibly triggered, maybe some people say, by the Anunnakis, trying to reset the balance after their creation spiraled out of control. Now, could the ancient flood be a record of actual celestial or astronomical event? Perhaps a rare alignment or asteroid impact. Noticed and remembered by humans as a divine act, forever encoded into history. I personally think that happened. Thank you very much, Nick Starlin. I think it happened for both. And I think with the ancient Sumerians, they tried to make sense of this through their belief of the Anunnakis, and Noah made sense to this with Yahweh. See, the flood story of the Epic of Gilgamesh is estimated to have, again, originated about 2100 BC. And the flood story of Noah in the Bible is believed to have occurred around the same time period. So both stories share similarities in their description of a catastrophic flood event. And as it's interesting also, as you explore the ruins, imagine the symbols that's etched into clay tablets and carved into temples. We see this in ancient Sumeria, winged figures with horned crowns, flowing robes, depicting with flowing hair, bearded faces, become archetypes of these divine visitors. See, one emblem, it says, one emblem on it, you see the banner of gods, it says, shows a stylized star or celestial body, signifying their extraterrestrial origin. Now, these symbols recur in artifacts, and there are some historians suggest that they encode knowledge of the Anunnaki's true nature and their celestial home. So are these symbols mere artistic representations, or are they enigmatic codes hinting at a secret history of ancient contact? Could they be a cosmic map guiding us through mysteries of our origins? It really is fascinating when you get deeper and deeper. Now, so as centuries passed, these stories of these Anunnakis faded into legend, but yet traditions persisted, intertwined with other mythologies. Today, the idea persists that the Anunnaki were real beings, visitors who left behind clues, artifacts, knowledge that we are only beginning to understand. Imagine uncovering new archaeological finds, strange symbols, artifacts with materials not native to the region, advanced metalwork, raising questions about whether early humans had help from these extraterrestrial visitors. See, the stories, the symbols, the artifacts all hint at a deeper mystery. Could, in fact, the Anunnaki still be watching? Do they still hold sway over our destiny? Well, so as you stand on the heels of history, peering into the depths of myth and legend and possible truth, remember that the story of the Anunnaki is a mirror reflecting humanity's eternal quest to understand our origins. So do you think these visitors are the merely mythic archetypes or remnants of a cosmic history intertwined with our own? Thank you for subscribing. Now, there are a lot of astronaut theories. Let's talk about that, okay? And we'll go for that. Why don't you get one camera for both you two? Well, actually here I have, this is a computer that runs on all the social media platforms. We run it on StreamYard because StreamYard can connect to everything. Here, we have to run TikTok on an extra iPad because you cannot connect TikTok to StreamYard. They won't let you. They won't let you connect to third-party applications. So that's why. That's why we have, I wish they would, because then I just have one computer. Can't do it. All right. Now let's go into this. Let's talk about the ancient astronaut theories, because this has become a really big issue. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish they would, but they won't. So imagine, and for those of you just tuning in, I'm Bishop James Long. Welcome to the presentation. Appreciate you all being here. Make sure you go to our sponsor's website, kgradb.com. Again, it's KGRAD as in dog, B as in bicycle.com. And make sure you click on the shop link. When you click on the shop link, you click on my name, Bishop Long, and it takes you to the store. Purchase, we have a lot of items there, and you can 100% of the profits that we will make, that would go to me. We're going to donate that to the MKS Kids Foundation. It's an orphanage certainly in Africa that needs our help. And all right, let's continue on with this conversation. Now, the ancient, have you heard of the ancient astronaut theory? A lot of people start to say yes. Yes. Okay. A lot of people have heard of the ancient. Okay. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. It's really interesting. So imagine it's the mid-20th century, a time when humanity's gaze, turns skyward. So our eyes are skyward when the new era of space exploration begins. But amidst these celestial dreams, some thinkers and explorers start asking a provocative question. Could the stories of these Anunnakis from ancient times be more than a myth? Or could they be memories of extraterrestrial visitors? Could the Anunnaki of Sumerian legend be real? Well, the curiosity actually ignited a really powerful movement, a revolutionary idea that challenged conventional history, so that the ancient Anunnakis may not have been gods at all, but actually visitors from other planets. And you can understand, if in fact the Anunnaki were real, you can understand why the ancient Sumerians would think that they were gods. So, but picture towering artifacts uncovered in the archaeological sites of Mesopotamia. Intricate carvings. Again, it shows, these carvings, friends, shows winged beings with helmets. I can't explain this. They are wearing helmets. You can actually see some of the art. These winged beings wearing helmets. Strange symbols. And what appears to be, when you see it, spacecraft or chariots in the sky. These images are silent witnesses to a forgotten time when perhaps maybe when the Anunnaki were actually visiting them. Now, one such artifact is the Pietra di Dendera. It's an Egyptian carving that seemed to depict beings arriving in flying aircraft, descending from the heavens. It is the Telo obelisk. It's ancient Mesopotamia sites that show figures in space suits. Their helmets actually shining under the sun. Matter of fact, in 1854, scholars discovered the winged sun disk. Their symbols, you can look this up. Winged sun disk. They're icons representing many people say divine power, but some interpret the symbols as celestial craft from alien origin. And the more we find, the more these relics hint at a mysterious technology that surpasses what we believe ancient humans could have known, raising obviously an unsettling question: is history hiding something? Now, enter Zecharia Sitchin. Now, Zecharia Sitchin is a scholar, a writer, who dedicated his entire life to deciphering ancient text. Now, Sitchin proposed a radical translation of the Sumerian cuneiform tablets, and here the stories of the Anunnaki take on a new meaning. In his book, The 12th Planet, thank you there, Sheena, thank you. Sitchin tells of a 12th celestial body, Nibiru, lurking in the far reaches of our solar system. And according to him, the Anunnaki came from this distant planet, arriving in enormous spacecraft, what he called starships. These beings, he argued, were not gods, they were extraterrestrial engineers. Now, Sitchin claimed they genetically engineered early humans, particularly to serve as laborers for their resource extraction, particularly for gold. But imagine these ancient Anunnakis as alien miners coming to Earth to harvest precious metals, and in the process shaping human civilization. Well, his interpretation of the ancient text painted a picture of a cosmic drama, being from the stars who shaped the very fabric of human life, leaving encoded messages in myths and texts and symbols buried deep in the sands of time. Now, from this perspective, the stories of the Anunnaki wielding fire, flying chariots, divine weapons, they're not allegories, but memories of alien technology. For example, some people will say, here's a theory: the Bible, Ezekiel's vision, a fiery chariot in the sky. Many people say become a possible account of an alien craft viewed by ancient prophets. The famous Vimanas, it's an ancient, an Indian epics describing flying machines capable of traveling vast distances. So these descriptions read like ancient jet fighters, now understood as part of a long lost memory of advanced aerospace technology. Some researchers now point to the mysterious Nazca lines, enormous paintings in Peru, suggesting that they are vast runways or even landing strips made for spacecraft. Others interpret the Baghdad battery as an ancient power source, not a simple artifact, but evidence of electrical knowledge long before modern science. Now, again, I'm presenting these theories. But here's what's not a theory. We do have paintings, drawings, if you will, in ancient Sumeria of these winged creatures wearing helmets. We do have these depictions of what clearly looks to me, it looks to me like rockets. Now, how in the world would they know this? In 2500 BC, they wouldn't even have the concept of a rocket. But imagine ancient astronauts arriving in glowing advanced ships, descending in a brilliant flash across the sky. Thank you. These ships, according to the theory, carried beings with skin tones shimmering, wearing helmets, with visors, shielding their faces. Visors. Radiating with energy. Thank you. By the way, for those of you, my friends here on TikTok are offering gifts. Thank you very much for the gifts. I appreciate all of them very, very much. So I'm thanking my friends there. They come to Earth not just as deities, but as explorers, scientists, and even engineers from distant worlds. Humans, in awe and fear, try to interpret their presence. The story of divine battles, heavenly signs, miraculous events, perhaps a record of encounters with extraterrestrial visitors. Now, of course, let's be fair. Skeptics argue that these artifacts can be explained through symbolism, artistic stylization, misinterpretation of ancient text. Thank you, Starla. And that they point out no definitive physical evidence exists to prove extraterrestrial content, yet the allure persists. The question remains, did ancient civilization encounter beings from the stars? Are their stories metaphor or memory? But what even the skeptics can't explain is, why are there drawings in ancient Sumeria of what appears to be rocket ships? What appears to be, looks like helmets and a visor over. I find it peculiar. So today, the idea of ancient astronauts has permeated popular culture. Movies, documentaries, conspiracy forums. The images are vivid. These ancient beings as spacemen, secret underground bases, possibility that humanity's true origin involved cosmic visitors. Some UFO enthusiasts claim to witness sightings that actually corroborate with ancient astronaut theories and argue that the government, hides knowledge of extraterrestrial contact, especially relating to the Anunnaki, who might still be observing, or what people say, preparing to return. So that is the next theory. I mean, imagine standing in a dimly lit museum or flipping through ancient text and realizing that what we see, an ancient carving, mysterious artifact, may carry a story that transcends human history. Could the truth be buried beneath layers of myth, waiting for us to decode? I think as we explore the dimensions of these ancient astronaut theories, remember the fascination lies not only in uncovering facts, but also in inspiring questions. Do the ancients really have extraterrestrial origins? Are the Anunnaki real beings who once visited Earth? Could they return? Here's what I believe. I believe that there are people who have experienced UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, whatever you want to call it. Now they're UAPs. I had the opportunity to speak to the person, the fire in the sky, Travis Walton. I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times and actually speak to him about his experience. If you've not seen the movie, it's called Fire in the Sky. After speaking with him, after a while, you can kind of get an idea. You can kind of get a feeling of if someone is actually telling you a lie, or someone is telling you. When I walked away from that conversation, I did not think he was lying at all. And if you have not seen that movie, I would encourage you to. Our friend, Willie Windwalker Gibson, who also has told his story. I know for a fact that I saw something. Now, I don't know what I saw in the sky. This happened 15 maybe years ago or so. Maybe 20, I can't remember. But it made such an impact on me that we immediately ran on the radio and we were saying, we just saw a UFO. We weren't even scheduled to be on the show that night. They had no shows. We said, we're going live. We saw this metal, very fast moving item. Eric, I don't know. I didn't hear anything. But we saw it very fast. And we saw a Louisville Metro Police Department helicopter chasing right behind it. Because I was a chaplain, so I know what the LMPD helicopters look like, and I could clearly see it. I mean, it wasn't so high that you couldn't see it, and it was chasing after this thing, and it was having a hard time keeping up. And then eventually it stopped. It stopped. I could see the whole thing, and it kept spitting out these like red spheres. Look, that's what it looked like. These red spheres. It's just spitting them out, and then the helicopter was just hovering around it. And then it just took off. I mean, just shot up. It just took off. Now, I don't know. What was really interesting, many people in Louisville saw this. And it was even on the news. And when I was flipping through the channel to the television several years ago, And the Louisville Metro Police Department, the pilot, they were talking about this thing that they saw. They could not keep it. They couldn't keep up. They definitely said that it was a metallic object, but they don't know what it was. They have no clue. So let's talk about this. No. Yeah, weather balloon. There's no way. The pilot. These and people say it was a pilot weather balloon. No way. A weather balloon doesn't spit out red orbs, and it doesn't shoot up so fast that a helicopter couldn't even keep up with it. So there was some type of propulsion system that was with this. Yeah, you're right. People will say it's a weather balloon. There's no way. Because the pilot, these are LMPD pilots. They are very familiar with weather balloons, and they said, no, there's no way this was a weather balloon. Thank you guys for the gifts. So here is a very interesting topic that I want to talk about. The 2027 prophecy and the return of the Anunnaki. So, folks, if you have not seen this, you're going to start seeing it. I promise you, you're going to see a lot. And I mean a lot. Right. People will say it's a weather balloon, but I'm going to trust the LMPD police officers, the pilots, who said this was a metallic object that was 100% not a balloon. Okay. So here we go. Let's get into it. There is a serious 2027 prophecy that the Anunnaki will return. I promise you. Here it is. So imagine sitting around a flickering campfire, gazing up at the star-filled sky. Somewhere, lost in the whispers of history and the shadows of a legend, a mysterious prediction has taken root. The year 2027. The claim, the Anunnaki, the ancients from the past, are destined to return. Now, my friends, this prophecy is not born from mere speculation. It is actually written in text, whispered by many secret societies, even echoed in visions, an echo from the distant past. Now, where did this date originate? How did it become intertwined with these ancient visitors? Well, we got to rewind to the early 21st century, where modern mystics and conspiracy theorists scour the ruins of ancient civilization for signs. So they examine astronomical alignments, decipher cryptic text, analyze symbols, searching for patterns, clues, perhaps maybe even messages. And some even point to Zecharia Sitchin's translations and interpret the alignments of planets or the cyclical orbit of a supposed Nibiru as evidence of apocalyptic or transformative events linked to the Anunnaki. Now, others interpret biblical numerology, such as the number 7, symbolizing completion, divine intervention, and combine it with the Mayan calendar. So it's cycles or even Egyptian numerology, asserting that 2027 is a pivotal year, an event horizon, where the veil between the worlds shimmers thin. Now, so imagine very early telescopes or advanced ancient observations. They tracked immense celestial bodies, possibly the Nibiru, or some unknown planet hurling through space. And ancient texts mention wandering stars or fire in the sky. Interesting, isn't it? That the book is called Fire in the Sky. A phenomenon that could, in today's eyes, be interpreted as planetary alignments or even an asteroid shower. Now, in 2027, some claim these celestial events reach a crescendo, an epic convergence. And at this precise moment, the so-called Anunnaki are predicted to reemerge, descending once again, perhaps to revisit their ancient creation and to fulfill prophecies long whispered in the winds of time. So could this be a celestial warning, a harbinger of chaos, perhaps a moment of awakening? Well, just picture this. natural disasters increasing, strange atmospheric phenomena, sightings of shadowy craft in the night sky, an uptick in UFO encounters and reports of strange beings among us. And even now, prominent figures begin speaking cryptic messages about a pending cosmic event. And even more so, now the United States are even having experts, military experts, go to Capitol Hill and testify about these strange UAPs. Isn't it interesting that before this, UFOs and UFO sightings, you would never hear about them having any type of Capitol, any type of hearing on this on Capitol Hill. They would never take it seriously. They'd be like, okay, yeah, right. But isn't it strange now all of a sudden we're getting multiple, and quite a few actually, quite a few hearings from, and this is important to know, whistleblowers who are former military who are talking about these UAPs. Now, in the months leading up to 2027, believers point to increasing solar activity, unexplained seismic events, anomalous magnetic shifts, suggesting an impending cataclysm or awakening. Now, some claim that the government agencies or even secret societies have long known this date, preparing for what they call the return of the Anunnaki. It's just very strange, though, if you really think about this. Why is it all of a sudden now the government's willing to talk about this? Whereas before it was like, oh, one of those conspiracy theory people. Now we're having hearings in front of Congress from military experts, from people who are in the military, former military, high-ranking military officers. We're not talking about people who are privates. No, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but privates who have very little knowledge and of, top secret. We're talking about the director of the UAP department in the Pentagon. Do you understand? Do you realize this? The former director of the UAP, but there is a UAP, by the way, office or a section in the Pentagon. He testified in Congress. So these are not willy-nilly people who are watching too many, videos on social media and wearing, aluminum foil caps with all on their head, to be honest with you. These are people that are high-ranking military officers. Now, but I'm visualizing this an event. Massive skies illuminated by a glowing craft descending slowly as the air vibrates with anticipation. The Anunnaki, if they exist, are said to be capable of influencing Earth's energy, either to usher in a new era of enlightenment or perhaps something else. And think about how humans across cultures have always looked to the stars for answers. Prophecies, legends, apocalyptic warnings have shaped civilizations on the edge of the unknown. The anticipation of 2027 becomes more than a date. They embody our collective hopes and fears, our eternal human yearning for contact with these Anunnakis. Now, picture a global movement. People stockpiling supplies. Spiritual communities meditating on the date. Conspiracy groups underground, all claiming that the end or the beginning is near. Could collective belief influence reality? Could the very focus on 2027 accelerate events? Folks, I'm telling you now, you're going to hear a lot about this. Mark my words, it will be everywhere. Everywhere. Or is it simply a myth? A narrative that's woven into the modern mythos, crafted to inspire, warn, or unify us in wonder. So as the year 2027 approaches, the unanswered questions remain. Will the Anunnaki return? Are they real beings or just echoes of ancient stories? Is this date a cosmic coincidence or divine marker? And if they do come back, what will happen? Either way, it leaves us wondering, are we truly alone? Or are we a part of a cosmic symphony with ancient beings watching from the stars, patiently waiting for the next act? Now, but if you think about this from a culture perspective, imagine walking through a bustling city square at sunset. The towering skyscrapers seem to reach to the heavens, their glass surfaces reflecting the fiery sky. But beneath this modern veneer lies a history of ancient symbols, murals. These symbols are not just relics, they're cosmic keys that many people say echoes of where the Anunnaki story lived on. See, throughout the history, these narratives have seeped into the very fabric of our culture. Whether through religious texts, legendary stories to secret societies, their influence persisted, sometimes hidden, sometimes boldly proclaimed. So if you would visualize the vivid art inspired by the Anunnaki, ancient carvings, again, depict tall beings with wings, adorned in flowing robes, often surrounded by symbols of celestial bodies. See, to the ancients, they were gods, unearthly, majestic, divine. But fast forward to today. Contemporary artists reimagine these themes. Murals, sculptures portray cosmic beings with shimmering metallic skin, glowing eyes, starry crowns. Visual metaphors for powerful extraterrestrial origins. Cinema and digital art embrace these themes too. Films like Prometheus or Arrival or Independence Day explore human-alien interactions echoing ancient legends of contact. Now, if you will, imagine millions of seekers connecting through meditation, prayer, sacred rituals, all centered on the idea that we're spiritual descendants of what some people believe as cosmic beings. Perhaps, possibly, now some people say even the Anunnaki themselves. I don't agree with that. Numerous new spiritual movements actually claim that awakening global consciousness can unlock memories of our extraterrestrial heritage. That's a theory. And there also, by the way, you may not know this, in some spiritual communities worldwide, practices incorporate symbols, the winged discs, the star charts, ancient seals associated with gods from the heavens. People chant cosmic mantras, believing that the consciousness expansion brings us closer to understanding our divine origin. Some groups even hold gatherings under the night sky, viewing the stars through telescope, convinced that Nibiru and other celestial bodies signal the return of the ancient visitors. Okay, fine. So picture a darkened sky, night after night, countless reports of strange lights, distant craft, inexplicable phenomena, which we're having today. Governments have declassified some UFO sightings, and ordinary people record footage of glowing objects that seem to defy the law of physics. That is a fact that is happening today. For many, these sightings feel like echoes of the past, perhaps the return of beings. Now, of course, conspiracy theories flourish, secret NASA projects, government cover-ups, the idea that the Anunnakis might still be observing, influencing, even planning to appear. Podcasts, online forums buzz about debates. Do these craft represent a new visit? And across the internet, a parallel stream of prophecy emerges. Visions, people are having dreams, alleged channel messages claim that 2027 will mark a pivotal moment. Numerous groups, again, they're interpreting ancient numerology, claiming that the alignments of planets, the cycles of Nibiru, celestial events point toward a grand revelation. And they say that the Anunnaki or their descendants will return, bringing even new knowledge, perhaps even divine enlightenment or apocalyptic upheaval. I think this movement fuels activism, spiritual quests, even political debates, which is fine. Oh, thank you there, Sarla. Thank you. So I think as we stand at this crossroads, a world flooded with images of cosmic gods, flying crafts, awakening consciousness, the question persists: are these stories mythic, Or are they fragments of a forgotten history? Well, let's go into a critical thinking here. So imagine yourself again standing at the edge of a vast fog-covered wilderness. Ahead lies a path lined with ancient stones, symbols carved into the earth, whispering stories of gods and aliens and secret buried deep beneath layers of myth and history. Now, you've heard the tales, as I've told you in this lecture. Some seem fantastical, others compelling. But now the question is what is truth? What is fiction? How do we find our way through this labyrinth of mystery? Well, once upon a time, in a small, curious village, there was a wise elder who warned the villagers, question everything, for truth is like a flame. You must be cautious not to let it burn you, but also not let it flicker out. So many villagers believed in the stories of the Anunnaki. Some considered them literal historical figures. Others saw them as archetypes of divine energy or cosmic memory. Yet some villagers questioned their doubts, rooted in scientific skepticism, archaeological debates, personal doubt. One day, a young seeker asked the elder, "How do we know what is real? How do we distinguish myth from fact?" And the elder smiled and replied, "Just as the river flows around stones, some smooth, some jagged, you must navigate with discernment. Use the light of reason, the fire of curiosity, and always remain humble before the unknown." Okay, so imagine communities around the world forming around these ideas. Some believe the Anunnaki are returning, bringing salvation. Others, judgment. Others interpret the ancient texts as coded messages from extraterrestrial visitors waiting to be deciphered. But what happens when belief becomes dogma? What risks lie in absolute conviction? And we'll get to your questions in a moment. But please understand, when you do an hour lecture, this took roughly about 2 weeks to put together. A lot. When you do an hour lecture, folks, that's a tremendous amount of work. So I want to make sure we get through this lecture, and then we'll get to your questions. Fair enough. Oh, yeah. That's very interesting. Quantum Age Comics says, interesting how 2027 is 30 years out from the Heaven's Gate tragedy. The cult leader Marshall Applewhite was perhaps 30 years too early in his prediction of the Anunnaki's return. He also predicted that the Earth is about to be spaded under. He said, again, I don't approve of the actions of Heaven's Gate. Heaven's Gate was interesting. I don't know. Let me see if I think I have this in the other room. Or let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I have this. I'm going to show you something. If I have it here, I don't know. One second. I do. So I actually have something ultra rare. And it's interesting you brought that up. This was given to me by a family member. Well, it wasn't given to me by a family member. It was given to an individual. And the individual asked if I wanted it because they were kind of getting older and they didn't know what else to do with the items. He collected very odd things. He loved history. He was a history buff. And so one of the family members gave him this. So this is according to him, this was an actual patch an actual patch worn by one of the Heaven's Gate. I don't know which one it was. He wouldn't tell me. But one of the Heaven's Gate people. So they had this on their arm, I believe on their uniform or their clothing. And, but that's interesting. You say that. Interesting. Here you talk about asking Mark, is it going to be okay if I'm not going to have it? Yeah, we'll get to it. I promise you, we'll get to it. So history shows us, again, that faith and skepticism can both guide us, but it can also lead us astray. Now, picture scientists and archaeologists diligently excavating, testing, questioning. They seek tangible proof, artifacts, genetic data, astronomical alignments, proof that can stand the test of scrutiny. Yet in the absence of conclusive evidence, theories flourish in the fertile soil of imagination and interpretation. Sometimes extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, a golden rule in critical thinking. So imagine a scientist meticulously analyzing ancient tablets, perhaps DNA samples and astronomical data, and pondering, are these clues evidence of ancient astronauts or just poetic storytelling? Now, the tension between open-minded inquiry and scientific skepticism is the dance really of progress. Think of skepticism as a vigilant guardian, not to dismiss but to question, to require clear evidence before accepting extraordinary claims. It's a tool, not a cage. And imagine a wise philosopher who says, hold your beliefs loosely, like a butterfly in your hand, protect it from harm, but be ready to let it go if the evidence demands it. So, and at the heart of the critical thinking, balancing wonder with rational inquiry, imagination with no evidence. So I invite you, my friends, ask yourself, what do you believe about the Anunnaki? What evidence would convince you? And could your beliefs be influenced by cultural or psychological or social factors? Are you open to changing your mind if new evidence emerges? Are you seeking truth or confirmation of what you already desire or believe? I mean, if you think about this, when we share ideas about the Anunnaki, we contribute to this ocean of belief and ideas, sometimes stirring currents of enlightenment, sometimes waves of misinformation. Therefore, responsibility lies with each of us. How do we navigate these waters? Well, I think by fostering dialogue, openness, critical inquiry, or we can co-create a collective understanding, one that respects mystery but demands integrity. So, I mean, generations before us, explorers gazing at the night sky, seeking signs, dreaming of alien visitors, divine messengers, cosmic brothers and sisters. Today, we continue that quest, not just through technology and science, but through understanding ourselves. So the story of the Anunnaki is more than ancient myth. It's a mirror held up to our own curiosity and fears and hopes. And as we question and debate, explore, we evolve. So we journey through the ancient texts, deciphered Sumerian hieroglyphs. We talked about them, examined the intriguing artifacts that hint at the existence of the Anunnaki, mysterious deities whose presence has fascinated scholars. The Anunnaki emerged from the cradle of early civilization. Their stories woven into Mesopotamian culture. They were depicted as powerful beings, sometimes even seen as gods. Other times, extraterrestrial visitors whose influence shaped human history. Their narrative speaks of creation, rebellion, demise. I think perhaps the most compelling element in our journey lies in the ongoing debate about their true nature. Are they merely mythological figures, grand allegories created by ancient storytellers, or do they represent real entities? Perhaps visitors from distant stars. Right, and that's a good question. In 69, and how advanced are they now? So if in fact that they did exist, they must have been obviously very advanced if they came. So now we're talking, 5,000 years more? How far more advanced are they? I think as we reflect on these questions, it becomes clear that the story of the Anunnaki is more than just about ancient legend. Again, I think it's a mirror to our enduring curiosity about what we are, where we come from. And the story invites us to look beyond the surface, to question accepted narratives, embrace the mysteries. So we have to remember that the quest for knowledge is a journey without a final destination. The Anunnaki serve as a reminder. Some stories are timeless. Some questions may never have definitive answers. Yet it is through our persistent inquiry and critical thinking and open-minded exploration that we keep the flames of curiosity alive. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now, let's go into a brief history here. Ancient Sumerian Babylonian times, like many cultures of antiquity, produced mythologies to explain the world around them. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one such mythology. Several versions of the epic poem exist. It is a 12-tablet Akkadian version that's the best known. The story centers on the friendship between the principal character Gilgamesh and Enki, or Enkidu. Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, is 2/3 god and 1/3 man. He has oppressed the people of Uruk, so the gods create Enkidu to distract Gilgamesh. Their unlikely friendship results in a journey of fantastical adventures, resulting in the unaliving of Enkidu. Now, I think a really important note to know here, a feature in this epic flood story that I talked about earlier, in which a character and his wife survive a great flood and obtain immortality. Now, their existence of this flood story, many similarities to the Genesis account, indicates a common source. Thank you very much, Starla. Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you very much. It does. I mean, the existence of this flood story has a lot of similarities to the Genesis account. It indicates a common source. Rather than the Genesis flood account being copied from the Epic of Gilgamesh, both accounts are entirely separate records of something that actually occurred, a global flood. So the quote-unquote gods who appear in the Epic of Gilgamesh, as I said, they're the Anunnaki, a name that probably means those of royal blood, or princely offspring. See, in the ancient Sumerian language. In contrast to this pagan mythology is the biblical account of the Nephilim. Who were the Nephilim? Well, biblically speaking, the Nephilim were the descendants of God and daughters of men. Now, there's a lot of people who say, well, the Nephilim were in fact offspring of demons and women. That is incorrect. That is an incorrect interpretation. Genesis makes it abundantly clear that the Nephilim existed before the sons of God had relations with women. So therefore, they could not be the offspring of demons and women because they existed prior to the demons having relations with women. Furthermore, Matthew makes it very clear in his gospel that angels neither procreate or marry. So there are some believers, there's different interpretations of the passage, but some Bible believers believe that it involves the fallen angels, the sons of God, taking on human form, mating with daughters of men, human females, thereby producing a race of angelic half-breeds. Is there a connection between the Anunnaki and the Nephilim? Well, some people say maybe. It's definitely interesting to note that both the biblical flood account and the Epic of Gilgamesh mention supernatural godlike beings interacting with humanity in connection with the global flood. So some theories just say it's possible that the myths regarding the Anunnaki originate in the reality that was the Nephilim. The Nephilim, actually, when you look at the translation, it means fierce warriors. The Anunnaki, in my opinion, as were the Nephilim, quite honestly, I think they were interchangeable. I think they were fierce warriors from a tribe that was different from the region in which the ancient Sumerians exist. And then people say, aha, Bishop Long, but what about the giants? Giants is a subjective term, meaning that, for example, you may think that a 7-foot person is a giant. I may think that a 7-foot person is a tall person, but not a giant. For example, Andre the Giant. When I was a kid, I saw him wrestle. Certainly from a kid's perspective, Andre the Giant was a giant. No ifs, ands, or buts. I saw him. I was quite close to Andre the Giant when he walked down the aisle. And as a kid's perspective, he was a giant. Now, perhaps maybe from a person who is a 6'5" man or something of this nature, Andre the Giant was a tall guy, but would they define him as a giant? Probably not. In the same way that you could Goliath. Now, there are some historians that will argue how big and tall was Goliath. There's a lot of theories on this. Some say, Goliath was 20 feet tall. No, not at all. But if you look at it from historical perspective and the way it describes him, many historians, biblical historians, would say that Goliath was probably between 6'8" and 7'2". Now, when you have somebody like a boy shepherd, as David was when he unalived Goliath, well, certainly a 7-foot man would be considered a giant to a boy. So I think that we're understanding the terminology objective truth and subjective truth is different. Yeah, and absolutely. Bill's asking a great question. Historically, could Sumerians have called Noah by a different name of Gilgamesh? And it's quite possible. Now, 100%. I mean, I think it's quite possible. Yeah. When we look at this, yeah, the ancient Sumerians, do we know, the ancient Sumerians knowing of Noah? Unfortunately, I wish we had more information, but we don't have a whole lot of information there. There are similarities, certainly. Look, the Great Flood is commonly associated with biblical narratives in the book of Genesis, as it mentions. And in ancient Sumerians who lived in Mesopotamia had their own flood myths that predate, many, many years ago, obviously. Some say it predates Noah, and I disagree. And if you look at the Epic of Gilgamesh, I encourage you to read it. It includes a story of a great flood and a hero who survives by building an ark. So there are absolutely similarities between the Sumerian flood story and the biblical story of Noah. It is unlikely, however, that the Sumerians knew Noah specifically. So the biblical narratives of Noah is thought to have been developed by ancient Hebrews based on earlier Mesopotamia flood myths, including those of the Sumerians. But do they know them? There really is no way of saying, yeah, they know. Now, there are some say that even Goliath may have been as tall as 9 foot tall. Is it possible? Well, certainly it is. No question it is. Only because we now understand why that may be the case. There is a particular tumor in the brain that causes, I forgot the gigantism. I think that's. I know it sounds generic, but I think that's the type of issue that's what Andre the Giant had, and that is also Paul White. I believe that Paul White, I think that's his name. He goes by the Big Show, and they both have that. To where, the body just gets larger and larger and larger and larger. So it's quite possible that Goliath may have suffered from that. Right. So when we look at the two stories, we see a lot of comparison. Here's what I can't explain. Unless they're proven to be fraud, which it can possibly be. But if we have conclusive proof, with conclusive proof, that these ancient Sumerian writings and drawings, if they are legitimate, and there are some historians that debate this, but if we can prove without argument that these are 100% proof, and again, these are ancient, there's a lot of debate. But if we can prove that these are right, then the question is how would they know this? How would the ancient Sumerians have knowledge of these ships? I can't answer that. Or even helmets. Helmets didn't even exist then. So how would they even have the concept of what a helmet and a visor is? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. I'm up to learning more about it because I definitely believe that there's something out there. I do not believe we're alone. No, I do not. The idea. Do you know? First of all, I'm a space nerd through and through. I went to space camp as a kid. That should tell you all you need to know. Do you know that if you traveled 42,000 miles per hour on a rocket right now, and you went to Jupiter, it would take you 10 years. 10 years to get to Jupiter at 42,000 miles per hour. Our solar system is a pebble in the ocean, and the ocean being the universe. We are so small. There are billions of galaxies and countless solar systems. So to me, I think that we're the only existence, I have a hard time believing that. So therefore, I would have to know more about the proof. Are these drawings in ancient Mesopotamia, do we know for a conclusive 100%? Have they been carbon dated? And do we know for a fact that they are 2500 BC or even 2000 BC? I'll even take 1000 BC. Or are these fraud? We just simply don't know. There's a lot of debate. Oh, okay. Thank you there, Judy Ann. Thank you. So that's the question. What do you think? Do you think these, I'm curious to see what you believe. Hello, I would like to know, what do you guys think of it? Hold on, I'm doing some real quick. Okay, you think they're angels? I don't know. Huntsville, Alabama. Good old Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, of course, I went there when it was really in its infancy. They didn't have a whole lot there. It's a lot to do because it was just starting out many years ago, many years ago. Now, I went there not too long ago, and it has just exploded. I mean, it's just, no pun intended, but it's just gotten really, it's massive. So different than what it was when I first saw it, or when I was there as a kid. So, all right. Yeah, it's interesting. So when you think about Anunnaki, there are many theories out there that they are actually going to be returning in 2027. I mean, if they do, what do they want? Okay. I'm going to try to open this up in just a second. All right. Okay, yep. There's a lot of people who believe these. Yeah. Really, if you look at Zechariah Sitchin, his book really is absolutely convinced that they will be returning, and some said even 2022. Some people say 2046. Some are even saying 2054. So there are some debate, but I'm letting you know now, 100%, you're going to get they will know more about this. Now, there is a theory, and this is really interesting, that the Anunnaki and again, there's a different type of aliens. There's the Greys. They're also called the reptilians. So there are some theories out there that the Anunnakis are reptilians. And there's a belief by many people that they raided our planet and conquered it from the benevolent origin of extraterrestrial creators 300,000 years ago. So there are also theories that these reptilians created us. I don't believe that. Now that I just like, okay, that goes too far, because that's a constant trying to discredit the whole God narrative, and I'm not going to accept that as theory or belief. But we do see there are some theories out there that, in fact, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's a CERN. Yeah, there's a lot of theories that they're returning because of CERN. Oh, really? Have you seen recent theories saying that the object to arrive here December 17th is their ship? We're going to talk about that. I have that as one of my articles. Let me see. Hold on one second. One second. Let me find this. Oh, gosh. I have so many articles that we're not going to get to today. Hold on, everybody. I'm trying to find this one article. There is something that is traveling in our solar system right now, and that is supposed to be arriving around that time that you're referring to. And man, that's what happens when you get like 50 articles. Because I always go, okay. Yeah, you saw it today? Okay, let's go asteroid. Okay, robotic astronaut. Yep, here it is. Oh, here it is, everybody. This is the article. Listen to this. Very interesting. Very interesting. And then we'll turn the chat on for everybody in a moment on TikTok. This is by T.K. Randall. Listen to this story, everybody. Astronomers have identified what is thought to be the third ever example of an object from a distant solar system. The object, which has been named 3L Atlas, was revealed on July 1st following its discovery by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, otherwise known as ATLAS. It's a robotic astronomical survey which uses multiple telescopes to scan the night sky for small near-Earth objects. Well, exactly where the mysterious visitor originated remains is unclear, but right now it is hurtling through our solar system at 152,000 miles per hour, has a very unusual flat and straight trajectory, prompting speculation by some that it could be under intelligent control. Measuring around 12 miles across, the object is currently situated around 4.5 times further away from the sun than the Earth, and will reach its closest approach around 1.4 Earth-Sun distances October 30th, before then passing relatively close to Mars. It will pass close to the Earth again on its way back out of the solar system, but NASA astronomers have assured the public that it will not pose any danger to our planet, which should be arriving close to us around December. Due to the relatively short time that it will be within observation distance, astronomers are now rushing to learn as much as possible about this, whatever it is, before it heads back off into interstellar space. It is thought that there could be many more interstellar visitors racing through our solar system at any given time. The true number of these cosmic travelers, however, continue to remain a mystery. Well, so there we go. We don't know. It's kind of right. But it is interesting when you think about this on ancient Mesopotamia. Again, we know that there are artworks of various objects and symbols that some people, when I look at them, I interpret it as possible representations of UFOs. But we got to, obviously, the ancient Mesopotamians did not have modern knowledge of technology, so they would have interpreted any encounter or even phenomena within their own culture and even religious framework. So, but it's worth wording that ancient art often depicted mythical creatures and gods and symbolic representations rather than literal interpretations. But I see similarities between these depictions and modern ideas of UFOs. But there's no concrete evidence to support the idea that the ancient Mesopotamian art shows real encounters. But when you see this is art, it's like, come on. I don't know. I can't dismiss it. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find something here. One second. Yeah. There's a lot of, if you look at, there's a lot of ancient UFO. It doesn't make sense. let me see if I can take these pictures. 1 second. I'm going to show you. This is why I can't dismiss it, because these are ancient drawings, and when you see these suckers, you're like, okay, they clearly saw something. Now, what they saw, I don't know. But let me show you these two pictures in a minute. And this makes you think, what did they see? All right. Just these alone, and then I'll show you. 1 sec. I'll do it this way because it's easier. Okay. And we're going to do this one. Actual size, please. Okay, and go. Send. All right, let me show you. Let me grab them. Yeah, when you see these, it's like, that's why I can't dismiss this. This is the items that you're going to see are well in the BC area. This is some of the ancient Mesopotamia. Oh, let me move this. I mean, come on. Or this. This certainly looks like Egyptian. And when you see that, it's like, okay, what? Come on. There. Right in the center. That looks like a freaking spaceship. Exactly what we would think a spaceship with lights. This is Egyptian. I mean, come on. Look. It even has the legs to land. See, when you see this, this is why I can't just dismiss it as, well, it's just all nonsense. Because when you see things like that, I can't dismiss it. I mean, it has legs, it has the lights. You see where the lights are. Matter of fact, in this picture here, you even see where I think it looks like a ramp, where the aliens would walk down. Let me show you. To me, it does. So I'll blow it up. You see the gray area right there at the bottom? That to me looks like that would be a ramp where they would walk down from. Now, how in the heck? Let's look at this. See, when you see that, you can't. I can't dismiss it. Anyway, yeah. So there we go. Anunnaki. One second, let me open this up for everybody. So it's ANN U. Hello. ANNUNAKI. My inner Giorgio is shining. What does it mean? My inner Giorgio? You'll have to help me with that one. I don't know what that means. So there we go, friends. That is the conversation on the Anunnaki. Da-da-da-dum. Yep. There you go, CR. Because when you see ancient drawings like that I just showed you, and that's just one, but when you see ancient drawings like this, you have to question, I do, what is that? How could they possibly, a spaceship didn't even exist at that time. Cars didn't even exist. Trains didn't exist. None of that stuff existed. None of that. So how could they even had a concept of this round circle with lights? It's too descriptive. That's the problem. To me, it's too descriptive. They have the light where the lights come out and the feet. I don't know. So anyway, okay. Yeah, Jennifer, we don't know. That's the issue, isn't it? Is we there's a lot of theories as to what these things are. No, I never said it is. What I did say, and I showed you proof of these paintings, and you have to make it with your decision. But here's the problem: you have to then explain how any type of culture could possibly create what clearly, in my opinion, is a UFO. They wouldn't even have a concept of it. They wouldn't have a concept of lights. They wouldn't have a concept of even the UFO. So while you may say it's not biblical, okay, all right, fine, then explain it. Nope. I've just said to you, then explain the picture. And you keep saying to me, explain where it says in the Bible. I never said it was in the Bible. What I said is, here's a picture that we cannot explain. You, however, just want to use the argument it's not biblical. Okay, fine. I never said it was. Then explain the picture. And you can't. You can't. So, that's the way it is. That's the problem. You know what I don't understand? What I don't understand is why people can't just use their brain and just ask the question. This is why I have sub chat on most of the time, because trolls. See, this is the problem. You can't even present a simple picture without being trolled. That's the problem with these people. You just can't even do that because it makes you uncomfortable because you can't explain it. And because you can't explain it, then you want to go right back to what's not biblical. Well, neither is the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity is not mentioned in the Bible. Neither is computers. Neither is Benadryl, for that matter. Neither is Tylenol. Neither is a cell phone. Neither is a computer or electricity. What's your point? Anyway, sorry. Dealing again with a troll on TikTok. Imagine. But Yeah, it's questioning. What do you think? What do you think? I don't know what I can't explain it. That's the whole point that I'm trying to make. I can't explain this picture. I can't explain it. I know it's there. And because it's there, I live in reality. That's what it is. But I can't explain it. And I think that's what makes people uncomfortable, because they can't explain. They just want to immediately dismiss and say it's evil or it's demonic or, yeah, it's a very interesting picture. So, but there are quite a few. That's just one. That's just one picture. We have so many more pictures from these beings, whatever they are. Right, matter of fact, right above pyramids. And we don't know what they are. Here's what I think. I think we're not alone. I don't believe we're the only life force. No, I don't. As a matter of fact, even the Vatican, for those of you who are going to say, well, that's not Roman Catholic. The Vatican actually, the Vatican has actually a very nice system there for telescopes. And I mean, it's a beautiful system. And they've even made it clear that believing in alien life does not invalidate your faith. So, all right. Yeah, there's a matter of fact, the Vatican has a chief astronomer. And if you want to be very specific, the Vatican, the chief astronomer, the Vatican chief astronomer said publicly, who's a priest, by the way, that aliens could be considered brothers as part of creation. And that's what he said. I didn't say it. So, okay. Even Pope John Paul was asked about aliens. And he said, always remember, they are children of God as we are. So, and like I said, the Vatican astronomers even went clear. So, I don't know. So for those of you who are going to throw out the Roman Catholic thing, well, then learn what the Roman Catholics said first. But they have an observatory, which is a brilliant. It's unbelievable. And the Vatican astronomer made it very clear that there's no reason not to. So, it's true. I mean, the Vatican, he's on record as the Vatican astronomer is on record stating that he actually believes that they could be our brothers and that it doesn't invalidate our faith. So he's on record of saying it. Okay. But it's an interesting theory nonetheless. But look, I have not there. Pillar? No. Here's the deal. Well, see, people always ask me, do I think these things are demons? Folks, demons don't need spaceships. There's no need to have spaceships. What would be the point? So they don't need them. There are too many people. This is one of the reasons why I believe that aliens exist. There are far too many people that are having experiences that they cannot explain. Travis Walton is one of them. He wrote a book. There's a movie called Fire in the Sky. I met him. He was absolutely credible. He talks about how he was abducted by these aliens. There have been so many people who have been abducted and who've told their stories. There have been so many people who have seen them, police officers, pilots, far more. Look, people say, well, this is nonsense. Well, look, there are pilots in the sky who flew, matter of fact, Japan Airlines, he was a captain, a 747, And he reported this in a time when reporting UFOs was kind of taboo. He didn't care. He was going to report it because what he experienced was so overwhelming that he thought there's something not right, because this object was 3 football fields long, and it went so fast that it was just zipping here and zipping down. He actually was afraid that it was going to hit the 747. So when you have things like who are pilots, who are professional, that's what they do. They observe, and they're in the sky a lot more than you and I. And not only that, but you have fighter pilots who have reported seeing these things. We actually now have undocumented evidence, finally, released documents that were top secret of these UAPs that cannot be explained. They can't be explained. So when you see like Michael can't be like a normal human being. But there's no question that there's something going on. What that is, I don't know. But we have something. Okay. Yep. So there we go. Now, I'm going to remind everybody, don't forget, tomorrow we are here. We have the Sacred Division, the weekend edition. We have a lot of articles that we did not get to today. And I mean a lot of articles. So we'll be doing that. We'll be discussing that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, we have night prayer at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, we have Bible study at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to be busy. We're going to be here all weekend. We're here all week. Monday through Friday, we have night prayer. So for those of you who don't like the fact that we talk about paranormal, it's 2 nights a week. Get over it. 5 nights a week, we dedicate, obviously, to prayer and Bible study. 2 nights a week, we talk about the paranormal. Wow, 2 nights out of 7 days, I think that's a pretty good deal. There are some people that do paranormal every single day, and that's their right if they wish to do so. Anyway, for those of you who are listening to this on podcasts, I say good night to you guys. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up here on our podcast. Everything is podcasted, by the way. You can go to bishopjameslong.com. And you can scroll down to Spreaker. And if you do that, then it will be up there. Matter of fact, I'm doing it right now for you guys before we hang up the show. And for those of you who are trolling, I can't see what you're saying because I'm looking at another computer. I don't know if you're aware, but your trolling will have to wait to get my attention because I'm looking at this I'm looking at that computer. So that means I can't see your trilling comments. Okay. I have to explain it to them. It's very important. All right. Well, you have to. You got to be nice. Okay. So your division. There we go. And all right. And publish. Okay. So for those of you who are on all the other social media platforms and KGRADB radio, by the way, don't forget, please go to KGRADB.com. KGRADB.com. Click on the shop link. You click my name, buy all the products. 100% of whatever I would make off selling products on the Sacred Division, we're donating it to the MKS Kids Foundation in Africa. It's an orphanage in Africa. They desperately need our assistance. They're self-funded, and they try to do the best they can to help the kids there. So please consider doing that. That would be fantastic. You can also go to kgradb.com and send them a message and say, is Bishop Long really giving 100% of his profits to the K? Yes, he really is. Just go do it, trolls. Anyway, for those of you who are all the other social media platforms, I tell you, your value does not decrease based on a troll's inability or refusal to see your worth. You're priceless. And don't let any troll tell you or convince you otherwise. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Good night.